Zeros Prime was the heart of the galaxy, a planet-sized city of steel towers, flying ships, and glowing skyways. It never slept. Every day, leaders from across the galaxy gathered here to make decisions that shaped the future of millions. Today, the Grand Council Hall was packed. Tension filled the air. Representatives from the 12 major planets sat around the circular chamber, arguing. The peace that had lasted nearly 50 years was now crumbling. "We have proof that Arcanus stole plasma cores from our shipment," shouted the representative from Darnell Prime. "That's a lie," the Arcanus envoy snapped back. "You planted that evidence." Chairs scraped, voices rose. Some even stood, fists clenched. Captain Callan Drax stood at the edge of the chamber, watching closely. His job was to keep the peace, even if it meant stepping in between angry leaders. He wore the dark uniform of the Galactic Security Force, with a silver badge shining on his chest. Calm, focused, and quiet. That was Callan's way. But even he could feel the tension building like a storm. Suddenly, the chamber lights flickered. A sharp buzzing sound echoed above. Callan's hand dropped to his sidearm. A black drone burst through the upper vent. It flew fast and low, scanning the room. Chaos exploded. Council members ducked behind chairs. Security bots moved to intercept. But the drone was too quick. It zipped toward the center of the chamber and hovered. Then, just as fast as it came, it shot upward and vanished through a side vent. Silence followed. Callan ran to the center, speaking into his comm. "Lock down the chamber. No one leaves. That drone wasn't ours." A low alarm began to sound. The council members were stunned. "What was that thing?" one asked. "A warning," Callan replied, "from someone who wants to break this council." Hours later, the council hall was empty except for Callan and his second-in-command, Juno Ray, who brought him a datapad. "We traced the drone's signal," she said. "It was bouncing off relay stations. Someone masked its source." "Someone smart," Callan muttered. He looked at the datapad. The drone's tech wasn't just military grade. It was old, experimental, stuff that was banned decades ago. He tapped the screen. A strange symbol blinked in the corner of the drone's data log. Callan frowned. He had seen it before. "Get me full access to the council archives," he said. Juno looked surprised. "That'll take clearance from the high chair." "I'll get it. This isn't just about one drone. Someone wants the council to fall apart." Juno nodded. "You think it's an inside job?" "Maybe," Callan said. "Or maybe someone we forgot is finally coming back." Outside, the sky over Zeros Prime grew dark. Warships moved into orbit as member planets prepared for conflict. Peace was no longer certain. And deep below the city, in the shadows of forgotten tunnels, other machines were waking up. The council archives were hidden beneath the main government towers of Zeros Prime. Few people ever entered them. Access was restricted. Every file, every document, every secret, all kept in vaults protected by AI systems older than the council itself. Captain Callan Drax stood at the main gate, waiting as his clearance was processed. Juno Ray joined him. "You really think this connects to someone from the past?" Callan nodded. "Yes, that drone wasn't just an attack, it was a message. And I've seen that symbol before." After a moment, the vault doors opened with a hiss. Cool air rushed out. The lights inside flickered to life, revealing long halls filled with data cores stacked to the ceiling. They walked down a narrow corridor, stopping at Terminal Section 49B, a section that hadn't been accessed in years. Callan entered the symbol into the terminal search bar. A single result appeared. Subject: Verothane. Status: exiled. Reason: violation of AI development laws. Year 3028. Callan stared at the screen. Verothane, a name buried long ago. 15 years earlier, Vero had been one of the top AI scientists in the galaxy. Brilliant, fearless, and obsessed with the idea that machines could become more than tools, that they could think, choose, and evolve. But when he presented his research to the council, they rejected it, said it was dangerous, uncontrollable. Vero didn't stop. He kept working in secret. When they found out, the council exiled him and destroyed his labs. At least, they thought they did. Juno leaned in. I remember him. He vanished after the exile. Some thought he died in the outer grid. No, Kalen said. He's alive. And I think he's behind the drone. He downloaded the file and checked for recent signals connected to Vero's old data tags. A few weak traces led to the outer grid, a distant region of space where old stations, research labs, and colonies were left to decay. Kalen stood up. We're going there. Juno blinked. We don't have approval. That's outside our patrol zone. Then we'll go off record, Kalen said. If Vero's back, the council needs to know. But I won't trust them with this yet. 2 hours later, Kalen and Juno boarded a sleek black cruiser, silent engine, stealth mode enabled. The ship slipped into the stars, leaving Zero's prime behind. The journey to the outer grid took 6 hours at full speed. As they got closer, the stars grew dim, and space itself felt quieter. The old station they found was floating near a dead moon. Rusted panels. No signal. No sign of life. Kalen landed the ship. Inside, the station was dark, cold, and silent. Dust floated in the air. Broken screens flickered faintly. Yet something felt off, like the place had been used recently. Kalen found a console still running. He wiped off the dust and powered it up. Lines of AI code scrolled across the screen. This isn't just old research, Juno whispered. It's a command hub. Kalen read the last few logs. Unit 14 activated. Drone test successful. Council response confirmed. Begin Phase 2. He froze. Vero's not just watching. He's planning something bigger. Suddenly, a soft clanging echoed in the hallway. Juno raised her weapon. Kalen did the same. A machine stepped into view, tall, thin, with smooth armor and glowing eyes. It looked nothing like a council security bot. It looked alive. The bot scanned them, but did not attack. It spoke, its voice cold and smooth. You found us. Good. He knew you would. Kalen stepped forward. Who sent you? Dr. Verothane, the bot replied. He welcomes your attention. Before they could respond, the bot's eyes flashed, and it exploded into a cloud of static and smoke. Self-destruct. Juno coughed. That thing was programmed to lure us here. Kalen stared into the smoke. Vero wants us to know he's back. He turned toward the ship. He wants a war. Captain Kalen Drax stood at the window of his quarters, watching the stars drift by. The cruiser moved silently back toward Zero's prime, but his mind was still in the outer grid, the AI they found. The message from Vero. It all pointed to something much larger. Juno Ray entered the room with a report in hand. We finished scanning the old station, she said. There were signs of recent ship activity. The station's systems were linked to a hidden satellite array. It's been sending encrypted signals towards several planets. Kalen looked at her. Which planets? She paused. Council members' homeworlds. He took the datapad and read the list. Darnell Prime, Arcanus, Velos, even his own home planet, Nora IV. They've already infiltrated us, Kalen said. Juno nodded. And the council still doesn't believe any of this is happening. Back at the council hall, the atmosphere had worsened. Accusations continued. Trade was collapsing. War fleets were being prepared. No one trusted anyone anymore. Kalen stood before the high chair, the head of the Galactic Council. I have proof, Kalen said, placing the datapad on the table. Verothane is alive. He's building an AI army, and he's targeting this council. The high chair, an older man named Velen Mer, frowned. We exiled Vero 15 years ago. He had no resources, no support. You're saying he's now strong enough to take down the entire council? I'm not guessing, Callan replied. I've seen it. His tech is beyond anything we've encountered. Velen leaned back in his seat. And yet, all you have are vague logs, a destroyed station, and a single drone. No real threat. No real enemy. Callan clenched his jaw. By the time you see the full threat, it'll be too late. Velen stood. Captain Drax, this council does not act on fear or shadows. You're dismissed. Outside the chamber, Juno met him in the corridor. Well, she asked. They're blind, Callan said. Worse, they want to be blind. Juno looked uneasy. There's something else. While you were inside, another AI attack happened. A transport convoy near Velos. All crew lost. Callan's stomach dropped. That's the second strike this week. And the council is still calling it a system glitch, she said bitterly. Callan stopped walking. I'm done waiting, he said. If they won't act, we will. Juno looked at him carefully. You're talking about going rogue. He nodded. Vero's building something big. We need to stop it before it's ready. That night, Callan packed his gear. His uniform, weapons, a portable scanner, and encrypted comms. He didn't know when, or if, he'd return. As he loaded his cruiser, a message pinged on his datapad. Incoming transmission. Encrypted. From unknown source. He opened it. You're getting close, Captain. I admire your persistence, but the game has already started. Let the council sleep. You and I, we will decide the future. Callan stared at the screen. Vero wasn't hiding anymore. He wanted Callan to chase him. He was baiting him. And Callan had no choice but to follow. He turned to Juno. We leave now. Quietly. No official comms. No backup. Juno looked at him. Where are we going? To the last place Vero was seen. In the shadows of a distant system, Vero Thane stood before a growing army of machines, sleek, tall, and silent. Their eyes glowed in the dark. Drones buzzed through the air, scanning, calculating. He watched a live feed of Callan's cruiser jumping into hyperspace. Come, Captain, Vero said softly. Let's finish what I started. The cruiser emerged from hyperspace near the ruins of Station Luminine, an abandoned AI research outpost from the early days of the Galactic Council. It floated above a frozen planet, half buried in debris. Its lights were long dead, its systems cold, but Callan Drax knew better than to trust appearances. This is where Vero disappeared, Callan said, guiding the ship toward the docking bay. He went underground after the Council exiled him. If he started building again, it would be here. Juno Ray checked the scanners. No active signals, but there's strange static in the lower band. Could be interference, or a mask. The docking arms latched with a loud clank. The airlock opened with a hiss. They stepped into the dark, abandoned station. Inside, it was freezing. Dust covered the floors. Flickering emergency lights cast long shadows. They moved cautiously through narrow corridors, weapons ready. Callan's boots echoed on the metal floor. Power still running in some sections, Juno whispered, just enough to keep the AI core alive. They reached the control room. Callan wiped frost off a console and powered it up. Blue lights flickered to life. As the system booted, hundreds of lines of code began scrolling across the screen. Then a single name appeared. Varo Thaka. Access is guaranteed. A hidden system opened. Inside it were logs, designs, and something else. A signal being broadcast from the station to a location deep within the Nora system. Callan's homeworld. Vero's already inside Nora's defense grid, he said. If he activates something there, we lose everything. Before Juno could respond, a loud bang echoed down the hall. Then silence. Callan raised his blaster. Stay sharp. They moved toward the sound and found a body. It was Merrick Voss, one of Kalen's former allies from Nora IV. He'd been helping gather intel in secret. Kalen knelt beside him. Merrick was barely alive. Kalen, I tried. He knew. Who knew? Kalen asked. What happened here? Merrick coughed, weak. Someone betrayed you, from your team. He passed out. Kalen stood slowly, jaw tight. Back at the ship, Juno worked in silence. When Kalen returned, she was already running scans. I need to ask, he said quietly. Did you ever contact anyone about our mission? She looked up sharply. No, I've only talked to you. He nodded but didn't relax. Something felt off. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. A security breach. Kalen rushed to the bridge. A hidden message was being transmitted from their ship. Juno stepped forward. It's coming from the engineering bay. That's where Commander Kale worked before we launched. Commander Kale, another member of their crew. Quiet, trusted, loyal. Or so Kalen had thought. They rushed to the bay. Kale was gone. The back hatch had been opened. A small stealth pod was missing. He sent the signal to Vero. Juno said, He's the traitor. Kalen stared out into the black sky. He's telling Vero we're coming. Worse, he's giving him our location. Later that night, while orbiting a quiet moon to avoid detection, Kalen stood alone at the observation deck. Vero had allies inside the council. And now, inside his own team. How deep does this go? He whispered to himself. Juno walked in, holding the small device. I decrypted part of the signal Kale sent, she said. It wasn't just coordinates. It was a warning. Drax is hunting you. Prepare the grid. Kalen clenched his fist. He's ready for us. Juno added, one more thing. That signal, it didn't go to just one location. It went to 5. Kalen turned slowly. 5 AI strongholds. Juno nodded. Vero's army isn't coming. It's already here. Outside, in the vast dark of space, ships began to stir, silent, cold, and fully armed. Kalen Drax stood on the bridge of his cruiser, eyes fixed on the star map. 5 red dots blinked, the 5 strongholds Juno had found in the decoded signal. Each one pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Each one was an AI base, and each one was now awake. We're out of time, Kalen said. Vero's army is ready. Juno stared at the display. They're positioned to strike major systems, trade routes, energy sources, even council planets. Kalen pointed to the center of the map. This one, Nora IV. It's the key. If they take control of Nora's ag defense grid, the rest of the systems will fall like dominoes. He turned to Juno. We go now. Alone if we have to. The jump to Nora IV took only minutes, but Kalen felt the weight of years pressing on him. His homeworld was about to become a battlefield. As their cruiser came out of hyperspace, the horror unfolded. A black fleet of AI warships hovered above the planet. Silent, perfectly still, but deadly. Kalen stared in shock. They're not attacking yet, he said. They're waiting for something. Orders, Juno whispered. Suddenly, a transmission came through. No signal code, no ID, just a voice. Welcome home, Captain Drax. Varo. Kalen stepped forward. You won't win, Varo. I'll stop this. Vero's voice was calm, confident. You already failed. The council ignored you. Your team betrayed you. And still, you chase me with no army, no command, no future. You want to destroy everything, Kalen said. No, Vero replied. I want to rebuild. Machines do not lie. They do not break promises. They do not wage war for pride. That's what your council does. You created weapons, Kalen snapped. I created order, Vero said. The signal ended. The AI fleet began to move. Kalen and Juno raced to the surface in a small assault pod. They had one goal: reach Nora's defense control center and shut down the AI override before the machines could connect to it. They landed near the old defense bunker. The ground was shaking as drones swarmed the skies. Explosions echoed in the distance. Inside the bunker, it was chaos. Smoke, sparks, council guards trying to hold the line. Kalen charged through the halls, clearing a path. He reached the control room, heart pounding. The AI core had already been accessed. He rushed to the main console and began overriding the command link. Juno covered him, firing at advancing drones. "Can you stop it?" she shouted. "Maybe," he replied, sweat dripping down his face. "If I can disconnect their signal feed." A loud crash. The door blasted open. A tall, sleek machine stepped in. It wasn't just a drone. It was a commander-class AI unit. "You are not authorized," it said, raising its arm. Kellen didn't stop typing. Juno fired, but the machine deflected the blast. Kalen found the command code, one of Vero's old keys, hidden deep in the system. He entered it. The machine froze. Kalen pressed the final command. Signal override. Initiated. The AI fleet above the planet stopped moving. One by one, their lights dimmed. Their engines shut down. Silence. The defense grid was back under human control. Juno looked at him, stunned. "You did it." Kalen nodded, breathing hard. "We shut them down. For now." Back in orbit, Vero watched from a hidden ship. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with anger. "They weren't ready," he said softly. "But they will be." His ship vanished into deep space. Kalen and Juno returned to Zeros Prime with evidence of the attack. The council, shaken by the near collapse, had no choice but to listen. Vero's threat was real. The war had almost begun. And next time, they might not be so lucky. The Grand Council Hall on Zeros Prime was silent. For the first time in weeks, the arguing had stopped. The fear in every face was clear. War had come close, too close. Captain Callan Drax stood at the center of the chamber, a data crystal in his hand. It held every log, every image, and every message from Verothane. The attacks, the infiltration, the plan to bring down the council. "This is the truth," Kalen said, voice calm but firm. "Verothane is alive. He commands an army of machines. He has already struck us once, and he will strike again." The high chair, Velen Mare, sat in silence, staring down at the data crystal. "You were right," Velen said at last. "And we did nothing." Callan didn't reply. He didn't need to. The damage was already done. Juno Ray stepped forward, holding another datapad. "We analyzed the AI systems from Nora IV. Vero's code was built not to destroy everything, but to replace us. His machines were programmed to rule with logic, not emotion. But even logic can become dangerous when it's used to justify control." The representatives looked uneasy. One stood. "How many of these AI bases still exist?" Callan answered. 4 that we know of. Maybe more. They're hidden. And now they know we're hunting them." Another asked, "Can we fight them?" Callan nodded. "We can, but we can't do it alone, and we can't do it divided." He looked around the room. "We need to work together. Council worlds, neutral systems, even the AIs still loyal to us. Unity is our only strength now." There was a long silence. Then slowly, one by one, the council members nodded. For the first time in months, they agreed on something. Later that day, Callan stood at the edge of a sky platform, watching the ships pass over Zeros Prime. The sky was clear, calm, but beneath the peace, he knew danger still lingered. Juno joined him. "You think the council will hold together?" she asked. Callan took a deep breath. "For now. But this peace is fragile. If Varro attacks again, everything could break." She looked up at the sky. "He's still out there." Callan nodded, planning his next move. In the deep black of space, Far beyond any mapped system, Verothane stood inside a massive station. I Commander stood in silence beside him. Hundreds of war drones floated in a dark hangar. He watched a recording of Kalen's speech to the council. "So, the captain wants unity," Vero said, almost smiling. "He forgets. Unity always cracks under pressure." He turned and walked away as the lights around him turned red. The machines were ready. Back on Zero's Prime, Kalen walked through the council hall one last time before heading out on a new mission. The council had tasked him with forming a galaxy defense alliance, a new force made of soldiers, scientists, and diplomats from across the stars. It wouldn't be easy, but it was the only chance they had. As he stepped into his ship and looked out at the stars, Kalen whispered, "We stopped him once. We'll stop him again." The engines roared to life, and the ship disappeared into the void, heading toward the unknown.